Howdy! It's finally that time of the year. By the time this video goes up, it's probably you're good to go. It's opening day, which is July 1st, and yeah, it's quite exciting. Usually the first week of July, generally slow fishing, and I'm talking about red springs. Today's video, I'll be showing you my setup for red springs, and this is solely my setup from my experience. So, and obviously there's lots of great anglers and more experienced angler than I am. So if you have any, so if you think this video is full of, then hey, it is what it is. But I'm just here to help people, and hopefully I can help whoever watching this video. And yeah, let's get back to it, or let's get straight into it. So there's so many options or method that you can catch red springs. So you can actually use spinning rod. Spinning rod with, lures. It could be a spinner or a spoon. And it could also be on a boat trolling. But for today's video, I'm going to show you a float fishing setup. These guys. And I think float fishing is probably one of my favorite type of fishing. Just because it's so satisfying seeing that bobber drop and setting the hook, and I think it's one of the very efficient way you can catch red springs, or even any salmon or any trout or any fish, pretty much. And it seems like it's a never-ending conversation or a topic: which rod, which reel, and there's numerous type of rods and reel. And again, here the first option would be, so it's a bait caster. This is a Shimano Covarlus, I think. I'm not sure, it's not mine, it's my brother, so. But this is a great reel for a beginner. So this type, I think it's a Ambassador, no, Arbuga-Cia C4, I think. Those are pretty good too, to start with as a beginner. It's easy handling and stuff. And you could also get the slim style bait caster. Lots of great options there, but it does hold a little less line. So normally people want to use braid, or yeah, usually want to go braid, but mono is fine too. So there's option 2. And a little bit more skill involved is center pin, and this is what I like to use for all my salmon fishing. It's just there's no you got to control it, so there's no actually a drag. You're kind of controlling the drag with your hands, but this is what I like to use for red springs, a center pin. There's no one way is the best and the other way is the worst. There's nothing like that. It's pretty much personal preference. But generally speaking, for beginners, it's easier to use a bait caster than center pin. But if you want to go ahead and purchase a center pin, by all means. But I did struggle for, I think, 1 or 2 days on the river when I first started center pinning. So there is our 3 options, or you could also use a spinning reel, but I wouldn't really, just you do you, but I'd go with the bait casting reel if you're starting off new. And as far as the main line goes, I like to use 15-pound Maxima. Maxima Green, I think they're called, 15 pounds. And you could also go 20 pounds if you want, but I like to go 15 pounds for my main. And pretty much that goes for red springs and all other species like chum, white springs, coho, pinks if they open this year, and steelhead even. And 15-pound Maxima is my go-to. Right, let's talk about rods. So this is a center pin rod, and it's pretty much the same as bait casting rod 2 rating wise, but you just got to get a different style of rod if you want to use bait casting. But this is for center pin. So this one is Trophy XL Titan. It's a 10.6, so 10'6" in length, and it's power 2 rated. And I believe that transitions to 8 to 17 pounds or 8 to 15 pounds, which is perfect for red springs. Because even though they're generally smaller than white springs, but they can get pretty big, I'd say, in my opinion, they're pretty, they're one of the hardest fighting fish out of all the salmon species. That's my opinion, but yeah, they do fight really good. So you want to get a rod that's rated 8 to 15 pounds or 8 to 17 pounds. And lengthwise, I like to go with a little longer one, but this is the average size, 10 feet and 6 inches long. And yeah, most rod comes in that length, so it's perfect. Alright, let's talk about tackle. So float sizes or float weights. What float do I use? So this year I'm going to be using a Cleardrift float from Cleardrift Tackles. And so there's a number of different sizes. There's 20 grams and 25 grams and 30 grams. And that's what I like to keep in my pouch. But I found out, my opinion, the 25 gram covers kind of everything. So I like to just use 25s. It covers like the low water and also a little bit higher as well. So I think 25 gram is a good point to start. And obviously it's going to be different depending on the water conditions, but generally speaking 25 is perfect. And you can also get the foam one as well, but the Cleardrift ones, it's clear, so I guess the Vedder River itself gets a lot of pressure, so being clear, the fish won't see the float, hopefully, but yeah, so I guess every little thing matters, right? So I'm gonna be using a clear float this year from Cleardrift. And let's talk about leaders. So I like to use the orange label from Seaguar. It's a 12 pound rated, and they say it's 12 pounds, but it's actually much stronger. They're very strong, and this whole roll will probably last me a season, so it's perfect. I use the orange label, Seaguar, 12 pounds. And hook sizes. I like to use Owner's number 1, size number 1, barbless, no escape. You could probably use walnut as well, or even 2/0 because they got big mouth, but I like to cover every species for the whole season, so I like to use number 1, but that is, you could definitely go bigger, and I might even go buy a walnut. So, and let's talk about bait. That's the one big question that everybody asks, or even myself, when I see someone catch a fish. Hey, what are you using? So there's a number of ways, endless of ways you could use. One being wool, obviously, but I don't really use wool that much. And one being Colorado blades under a float, which can be very effective, but I rarely use it if I'm being honest. But I do have it in my pouch just in case. And roe, of course, fresh cured roe. You could never go wrong with it, right? But it does get pretty messy, so I tend to go with beads. And that seems like, over the years, it seems like that's everybody's favorite. And now the real question is, what color do you use? What size do you use? Hey, what brand do you use? It's just, the questions are endless. And for myself, I'm still learning and stuff. Here's what's been working for me, and I'll show you guys a couple options. So as you see here, there's endless of types and sizes and colors. So I'm gonna try to trim my top 3 here, what I would be using, what I would be at least starting with. The first one would be, it's called the Fire Cherry, and it is 12 mil. And these work pretty good too. And this one is 12 mil glazed shrimp pink, also known as molted red as well. And Red Spring loved these ones. I actually got one on this last year. It was a 14 mil, so one size bigger, but this will work great. And orangey color, they like these guys as well. And honorable mention, actually, I've seen a lot of guys use this shrimp pink 14 millimeters. And I'd say my favorite size to use, obviously depending on a water condition, is 12 mil or 14 mil. And if you want to go a little crazy, there is a 20 mil as well. And this kind of imitates like a row sack or loose rope. And I've seen people do very well with 20 mils. It may seem pretty big, but they do work pretty good. And obviously there's tons other options here. And like even this one, and this one looks so natural. And I will definitely be trying all of these. And if you want to go a little crazy, I will definitely try this glue chartreuse. Because I don't know why, but I've seen guys catch fish with chartreuse color as well, and I was like, what? But I will definitely have this in my pouch and try it out. And that is a 10 mil, and yeah, I'd say you just gotta go out and try it. Try a bunch of stuff, but those are my top 3 or top 4. But this year I'm gonna try all of them and see if it'll surprise me or not. And if you guys are interested, I'll leave a link down below. There is a discount code, or I'll pop it up somewhere here, and you guys can get it on their website, Cleardrift Tackles, or you can shop at Pacific River Outfitters, and you can also get cool merch. And it does not come with a stain. I actually spilled some raspberry just before, but there's a bunch of knowledgeable guys in there, so they'll get you all set up. And if you're into fly fishing as well, they will set you up right in. And they have tons of gear fishing as well. And they will set you up with a float fishing rod and anything. And they know way better than me, so give them a call and ask for more info. And this is how I set up my rod. So I have 2 bobber stop. And you could definitely use one, but I just like to use 2. And I will be using the Cleardrift float, 25 gram. So I go through my main line, just like that. And I grab my bobber stops. And again, I like to do 2, but you could definitely use 1. You should end up with bobber stop on each side. And I like to use the egg weight. And 3 of these is perfect for my 25 gram. 3. Have like that. You could also add a little bead, or this step isn't necessary, but it's kind of what I do. Add 1 more bobber stop so it doesn't hit my swivel and break off my line, because that happened for me to me before. So I should have it something like that. I like to add a snap swivel and a simple clinch knot, and you guys can Google that if you don't know how to do a clinch knot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 through the line, pull it, give it a quick trim. That is a clinch knot. And you grab your leader, 12 pound Seagar. And I did forget to mention this is fluorocarbon, not monofilament. And I recommend using fluorocarbon for a leader. So I cut about 2 feet of leader, 12 pounds. Because it's going to get shorter and shorter as I tie on. And I grab my number 1 owner's hook, no escape, and I do a egg loop knot. If you guys don't know how to do that, I'd Google it. 1, 2, 3, and egg loop knot and clinch knot is pretty much what I use for all my fishing, even for sturgeon. After I trim, it should look like that. I don't know if you can see it. Egg loop knot, you can put row and whatnot if you don't want to use bead, but I use bead And you also do egg loop knot for beads as well. And now we're gonna be putting on bead, and I'll be putting on the 12 mil. It's called Fire Cherry. And if you open this one up, it actually comes with a bead stopper. And how do you do it? There is a direction as well, which is pretty nice. And grab your end of the line, which my hook's here, the other side of it. And it works the same as a bobber stopper. So you thread it through, and you want to thread it about 1 inch, and then you pull it just like a bobber stop. So it should look like that, and you slide it down to your hook just like that. You could also use a needle for sewing, or there's a bead threader as well you could also buy, but I don't know where my bead threader is, so I'm gonna use a needle. So you put that through beater just like that. Then you grab a bead, and you thread it in the middle of the bead just like that. It should look like that. And if you thread it, there you go. And now you have it in your line. And you just want to slide it down to your bead stopper that you put in earlier. And you want to have it about 2 inches above, or 2 fingers above your hook. And you want to grab a swivel and thread it in. Again, you end of the leader. And you want the length about 1 foot or 1.5 foot max. Otherwise you're flossing. And again, I do the clinch knot. And here is your bead setup. And you can use it for any size bead. And yeah, that's pretty much it here. Alright, so quick recap. I got a bobber stopper ahead of the float. I have the float. I have another bobber stopper underneath the float. And I have 3 egg sinking weight for my 25-gram float. And I have a snap swivel. And I have 12-pound leaders, about 1.5 foot. And I got a 12 mil bead, or any size bead or any style bead you want, with the bead stopper. And I have my owner size hook, size 1, but you could also use size 1/0. And yeah, that is the setup pretty much. And this is a whole setup for any salmon pretty much, either white spring, coho, anything. So there it is, pretty easy. And obviously on the river, time is valuable if your time is tight. So another tip would be grabbing a leaderboard or making your own leaderboard. So I tie these before I head to the river, or a night before, and all sorts of different kind and sizes. And hey, I kind of want to try this, then you just take it off, right? Boom. And then you get the snap swivel off, and then put your bead or choice of your bead, and yeah, there we have it. So, and it takes so much time too when you get a snag or you lose your whole setup. And this is what I learned, how to save time on the river and not be stressful. And I think I covered most stuff as long as the setup goes. And yeah, obviously it's going to be challenging, more challenging for red springs than other salmon. But it's always good to get out there, you know, enjoy and maybe interact with people. And the best tip I could give is probably just heading out as much as you can and kind of observing what people are doing and how they're catching it the legal way, And yeah, it's pretty much the best tip I've ever got from somebody. Just go out there and have the exact setup and be at that spot before then. And it worked for me, so hopefully it works for you guys. And there's tons of other options and method you could use, like I said before. And I do more research and watch more videos. And I hope you guys have a great season, and hopefully I'll see you guys out there. Alright, and that's it for you guys today, and as usual, on the river, until next time.